everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sector 2. Today we are back with Race Debrief number 2 after a long intermission, all because I spent all my time in the world studying for classes. Yay! Don't we all love that so very much? So, apologize for the inconsistency. I've kind of updated our social medias just a few times to really show that and explain why I've just disappeared randomly. But it's summertime. I'm back. I'm here to make content. I'm here to have fun, and I'm also here not to get fined. So I'm ready to ball out, have some fun, and we are joined by the lovely, the incredible, the mechanic, the one, the man, the myth, the legend, the American jackass, the Mr. Pit Vipers, Mr. Steal Yo Girl, Mr. Off-Road the Rally Truck, Mr. Kieran.
You're...
All right. So we got a bunch of fun topics to cover today. So we have several races to discuss in our time of being away, starting from the Japanese Grand Prix in Formula One.
What?
That was eventful as all hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
totally
was about as eventful as cheese on a headboard. So. Yeah. Pretty boring race.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that a little bit. We had Max with a big fat W back on top again. Honda getting a win in their home country, wearing and repping the Honda livery. That white Red Bull is back,
yeah.
and good God, was that beautiful.
Oh,
that was definitely the highlight of the weekend for me, but it was also... It was... spicy. I loved every second of it.
Absolutely. And
yeah, I love that. That was incredible. It was.
I kind of joke about the race being a snooze fest, but at the same time, the suspense of the McLarens like slowly catching Verstappen, but Verstappen kind of drifting away. That kind of got me a little excited, but nothing happened, so call that shit edging.
Yeah, it was definitely quite interesting. I thought, and I hold a very strong opinion, and I'm going to hold this strong opinion, and this opinion is only going to intensify as this episode goes on. Sorry to say that, but I feel like Japan was definitely a breaking point within McLaren to an extent to where we really got to see the desperation out of Lando. And we also got to see just a little bit of how chaotic that team is within the walls, really. Because we had Mr. Lando the Lawnmower over there deciding it was a great idea to try and jump for Verstappen, get it out of the pit lane, and deciding to just mow the grass a little bit, trying to get out. That was stupid. Blame Verstappen as he typically does. And yeah, he's a moron. I feel like his team agreed that he's a moron. Everyone in the fan base agreed that he's a moron. And yeah, he's just a moron. And I believe it also trickles down further to later in the race when we saw McLaren destroy Piastri's race. I mean, sure, it's not Piastri's race to win, in all fairness. They wanted to give Lando a chance because Lando was the priority since he started earlier in the starting order. So, yeah, it was going to be Lando's race. But at the same time, if you have Piastri on a completely different strategy on faster and newer tires, and he is sitting behind Lando, hogging him at least like within a second for a solid like 9 laps in a row, you got to think at some point about giving the kid some clear air and seeing if he can catch Verstappen, who wasn't that far up the road, and I'm going to hold the opinion that he could have caught Verstappen if he was let go earlier. But yeah, McLaren decided, let's let the kid with the rich dad continue to stay in second.
The golden boy. In quotes. Lando's a nice guy. I like him. I met him in 2019. But he's a window licker. Straight up, he's a window licker.
Yeah, he is quite an enjoyer of the doorknob licking.
I like the guy, but at some point you gotta start taking accountability for your own actions, right? Don't just blame Verstappen for um, doing some things that you could have avoided yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, entirely that's entirely how I feel about that. That whole that whole situation was quite interesting. I feel like we're starting to see a lot more colors out of Lando. He went from being such a super likable character and such a super popular person into, I don't want to say this nightmare, but he quite frankly has some issues and it's not great, honestly. And I mean that mostly in the aspect of his arrogance is kind of shining through and his, like you said, lack of accountability.
Yeah, he's a good driver and all. Super great guy. Love the dude. But, you know, take accountability for your own actions. Also, he's just not as good as Oscar. Plain and simple. Which McLaren is, I feel like they're starting to realize that now.
Yeah, no.
Thankfully.
Yeah, no, I entirely agree with that. The issue is, I feel like because Lando has a good car, I feel like there's just quite an sense of entitlement coming out, which is quite funny because there's quite a bit of hypocrisy also coming out when it comes to how he is acting right now. Especially in the fact of, I thought it was funny because someone pulled up his comments several years back. I think it was 21 or 22, where he was basically taking a shot at Hamilton, giving some attitudes like, well, when you have the best car and you have the fastest car, you should be winning every race. And now you see this casual getting dunked on by Verstappen. You see this casual getting absolutely by his teammate.
Yeah,
I
mean,
exactly. It's quite an interesting time.
When you have a championship contending car, there's going to be some pressure to perform, which I could see that being the case. There being too much pressure for him. Who knows? But it's up to the driver to overcome that pressure, and those are the drivers that become champion, i.e. Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Nico Rosberg even.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's what defines a character. It is what defines a driver. If you're not able to handle the pressure, then you're not able to stay in the kitchen. You're not able to stay in contention for that championship. And we saw that with Leclerc in 22.
Yep.
You can blame that on Ferrari as much as you want, but he still had his maturity to get over. He had never been in a position like that in the highest level of Formula Series, where he was actually trying to compete for a Formula One championship. He had done great in the junior categories, don't get me wrong, but it's another level when you're taking on the fastest cars and the fastest sport. So it's rather difficult, but I feel like we'll have more to gripe on Lando a bit later. Trust me. I'll get my chance to dig into his heels, but until then, it's better to continue the rest of this discussion. There's a fun thing that was kind of missed a little bit. It went around as a news article, but was never really covered in depth by many people. But there was going to be a pink Red Bull livery as the one-off for this weekend, shockingly enough. It wasn't going to be the white Red Bull, but they were going to do a pink Red Bull for the Japanese livery, which is quite interesting. But they scrapped it due to weight concerns, so...
Yeah.
Makes me wonder if the V-carb livery from Miami would have looked anything like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
See, I wish... Okay. I feel like they should introduce, like, some sort of, like, minimum paint restriction or something. Because, like, all these teams saving weight with, like, paint... It's not, like, a big thing... But I would like to see more color, like in the grid. It's just paint.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely.
Yeah, paint shouldn't be like, I don't know. It's just a little annoying to me.
I feel like a better way, instead of like a minimum weight for paint, because that would just force them to go overboard on doing whatever they wanted to. I feel like there should be some system, which would be very tricky. I fully admittedly, after thinking about it, it'd be very tricky to master, but I feel like a better way of approaching that would be excluding paint weight from the total weight count of the vehicle. Or there's a allotted weight that you have to make known and measured and tested by a steward from the FIA on how much weight you're carrying into that race based on the paint or livery of that vehicle, and then that can be excluded from your total race weight. But also there's another thing too, that any weight that you do add from paint also technically hurts the car's performance. Like what Nico saved a bit of paint on his helmet to save him like what 100th of a second or something like that. So there's still that to be taken into consideration. Yeah, it'd be nice to have more paint, but at the same time, I understand that more paint equals more weight equals slower. That's the one unfortunate bit to that, but it is what it is. So
yeah, oh well, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that white Red Bull was still stunning, and it was fantastic to have Yuki in the car. He hasn't been doing the greatest, but he's doing better than Lawson was.
Yep, better than Lawson.
Absolutely, yes.
I want to say he's doing better than Checo in his last stint at in his last year at Red Bull, I should say.
Undoubtedly. I mean, honestly, we're seeing. I would need a stat to back this up, but hot take, I feel like we're seeing Verstappen closer to Tsunoda than Verstappen to Lawson by a country mile.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just the car falling off. Maybe that's just, Yuki's actually managing to keep the car near the points somewhat decently. But, yeah, that's still something that exists. All right, next fun thing on the same topic. I'll just cut up to about here. So another fun thing that was maybe noticed, maybe not noticed, but also went through in a news report. One thing I noticed was Red Bull was struggling quite a bit in the practice sessions. They were trying to get the balance correct. Verstappen, I believe, was having some issues. I believe he used the term the chassis was... Oh, God, I don't even remember what the term was. But he used a very interesting term. It was bending. The chassis was bending in some aspects. I think that's what he said. I'll have to put it like in a quotations bar. But he said a quite interesting term for that. And I had never heard him say that before. But then they turned it completely around. And Verstappen just ended up miraculously on pole in Japan. Not only by a phenomenal lap, defeating the McLarens, which were rather dominant in a very... mid-aero focused kind of program, but also he used quite an interesting racing line, was a big report that came out. So I saw some reports, which I need to look into, that were saying that the setup that they used on the car was translated by a sim racing driver. Then I also saw a bit of it that was his racing lines were sim racing inspired, where he held very close to the line, very close to the pit wall to get to the line quicker. Yes, that was quite an interesting bit that I did end up noticing. That I don't know. It definitely caught me off guard a little bit.
Yeah, and lo and behold, he put it on pole and won the race. So, side note, if that's...
I'm wondering to what extent the setup was. Sorry.
If that shows anything about sim racing, it's that sim racing skill translates to real life. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like almost anyone will entirely agree with that, because the one thing about sim racing is that it's almost the exact same as real life. It's just the one thing you're missing is the lateral loads and the G-forces that you experience on your body. That's like the one big difference from sim racing to real life. So... yes, you racing your sim out there, you can totally go to the next level as long as you're, somewhat like athletic and fit. Then, yeah, give it a shot. Go for it.
Yeah. I wish I had more money so I could race in real life, but that's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you can just go to SCCA.
You've given me an idea.
What would that be? Is that something after the show or no?
I'm gonna f***ing get a CCA license.
That's what I'm doing.
We ball. Anyways.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Kimi Antonelli was having a very strong race there. So was Isaac Hadjar, actually. They were both having some pretty decent results there, some serious pace. Kimi Antonelli, I believe, was leading the race, took the record as the youngest driver to lead a race in Formula One, taking that away from Sebastian Vettel, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was either Sebastian or Verstappen, but... yeah, so took that record away. So Kimi Antonelli's already starting to pad up his record book a little bit. Fun thing, Sainz missed his pit box in FP1 or FP2, but I thought that was rather funny because he just completely missed the Williams box thinking it was down near the end of the garage. So that was interesting, kind of funny, not going to lie. I don't know what to think about it, but... yeah, is what it is. Now, this is where we have a little bit of fun, too. There's a controversy, I'll put in quotations, and then we're going to go into a little bit of a tech talk, which will be kind of a new thing I want to put a little bit more emphasis on. So the first thing that I'm going to run in is we had that quite interesting crash from Jack Doohan in FP2, I believe it was, where he binned it into the wall out of turn 1. Basically, it just mock Jesus.
Is that the one where...
As far as I'm aware...
Is that the one where he tried to use DRS through the corner? Or is that a different one?
That is it, yes. And so... The thing is, whenever you press the brake pedal on one of those cars, the DRS mechanism is going to automatically deactivate. However, I believe, as far as I'm aware, Doohan attempted to go flat out in turn 1, and DRS did not deactivate because he would have to do it manually or click the brake to deactivate the wing. So he tried to take that corner, and the air was just like, unbalanced, and sent him to the Shadow Realm.
Yeah.
And then another interesting thing I noticed too is at the end of the race, if you're able to watch Kimi Antonelli's T-cam in Parc Fermé regs after the race is over, you get a quite interesting view of Jack Doohan limping away from his car, seemingly injured. He was like limping, I think it was his right leg or something, but it was quite interesting after he had such a hefty shunt, made it into quali, got through the race, and gets out of the car in the race and is seemingly in pain, trying to nurse a leg back as he gets into the garage again.
Yeah, I feel like people aren't giving him enough credit for that. Like, to injure yourself in a crash, seemingly, and then somehow get through quali in a race. I mean, that just shows his work ethic, I feel like. I don't know what Flavio Briatore's all pissed off about, but...
Flavio's another being that we will discuss in the main episode 4. So that'll be something for a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know. Doohan, I feel like he has an opportunity. It's just difficult. I don't know. It's already a bad scenario down at Alpine as is. It's just that is even sketchier with Flavio Briatore back. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that shapes out for the remainder of the races.
The man behind Crashgate at the same team. Well, we'll go over that later.
Yeah, that's a story for another time, real quick. There is a fun thing, which I will have a tech discussion for here towards the end of our debrief session. But Hamilton was blaming his car for his issues that he's having, which I just want to say, iconic. Correct. But also, there is actually a good reason for concern at this point. There's quite a bit of instability in the rear suspension geometry, which I have some updates towards some of their development on that. So we'll discuss that a bit towards the end of Race Debrief too. But yeah, there's that going on. And then there's one other thing that was quite interesting, which I don't have the numbers with me, but I have a rough approximation on everything. So there's the whole flexi wing conundrum. Ooh, scary. So yeah, basically, a long story short, McLaren is seemingly utilizing a full flexi wing system at this point, which basically got it inspected after Parc Fermé in Japan. They deemed nothing was illegal, but they're just like, yeah, we're going to lower the amount it's capable of flexing during the race. And I believe, if I'm correct, under extreme load, McLaren compressed the most. I believe it was 22 to 30 millimeters of compression in flex in the wing under high load to low load. That was the difference. I think Mercedes was actually pretty close to that too. I think they were in the 15 to 25 range, but I think they were just below McLaren in terms of compression. And then Ferrari and Red Bull were almost nearly unaffected. But that is also going to be almost entirely negated, I believe, coming into Spain. I believe there's a little bit changing in Imola for it, but I think the big brunt of the impact will be happening in Spain, is where the full technical directive comes in.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this is going to affect the championship fight, for sure, because who knows, that could be the reason behind McLaren's dominance. Or I'm just
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, at the same time, McLaren has some wicked aero generation. That's the thing. McLaren has violent aero, and their underfloor is thankful for everything. The underfloor deserves all the thanks for said gains. That's that's another thing that can be discussed. But I believe they bought a update. No, they didn't bring an update to Miami. But basically, their current existing floor was already fantastic in every way possible. And that was able to mitigate some of the airflow in Miami. There's a bit of difficult airflow in Miami. But again, topic for later. So, yeah, that was quite an interesting bit. It was also interesting to see exactly who was bringing what type of setup on their car to Japan for this time around. So we kind of noticed a little bit of cars bringing in some lower drag profiles for Suzuka this time around. Specifically, like McLaren and Ferrari introduced like a lower spoon on the wing element. It's like the very mid element of the rear wing plane, how it's like usually drooped down like this. There's a big scoop almost like this on the middle of the element. It almost reminded me of the profile of the like 2005 generation Formula One cars on their front wing, how it had that like scoop at the bottom that went up and in. Yeah, they almost have the same thing going on for the middle of the plane of the rear wings, which is actually to help assist airflow and retain overall downforce and keep it like nice and fluid and still like get the profile up compared to a lot of other cars and previous year cars, because I think it was Ferrari and McLaren that were running that scoop, and then it was Red Bull and Mercedes were running a flat plane almost on that rear wing, to where it was a complete flat area compared to Ferrari and McLaren just had that like nice scoop on the center of their rear wing. So they did that to help with their downforce and I think give it more room to really create I believe it's a high pressure zone. I'm blanking, but I should know that, and I'm disappointed in myself. Anyways, yeah. So it's quite interesting to see what gains they brought on. There's a few other like telemetry bits that were brought in, which basically just showcase Verstappen gained, I think it was a 10th in the last chicane alone, because he braked 25 meters later than Lando did, just throwing his nuts on the table, and gained a 10th out of it, which also helped him get pole position around Japan, which is absolutely insane. Norris lifted really early. Strategies were quite interesting. The hard tires were much faster than the medium and lasted longer too, because there were severe tire deg issues in Japan. So that was quite interesting. That's quite about all I had for most of the technical bits, just the interest on the load design profiling of the rear wing setups that a lot of teams brought to Suzuka. So quite interesting, if I do say so myself.
Yes, it is very interesting.
Yeah, great stuff. Great time. Fantastic. On with that, we will be moving on to our next topic, which will be Bahrain. All right, and we are back, and we're going to go on to Bahrain now. So there wasn't a whole lot here besides just a few smaller things and then some crazier things. So the very first thing was Ocon had quite a spooky Mazepin-inspired crash. Basically the same way, same corner, same area where he crashed. I believe that was qualifying too, if I'm correct. But that was quite a interesting moment on there. Ferrari seemed to be having quite a bit of inconsistency. It's definitely very evident their car is lacking in a few departments. Quite disappointing with Hamilton going to Ferrari and then having issues like these. So, yeah, Sainz had some issues, and I don't remember exactly which ones those were. Holt got disqualified for, I think it was improper DRS use or another thing, and then Russell got noted for improper DRS use and then deemed he was okay and did not get a penalty. So he held on to his position, which I think was holding off Lando for P2. So he kept that, and Norris kept P3, which he is quite unhappy about. But, you know, I got 2 words for you, inspired by the legendary DX. Suck it. So, you know, it is what it is. The safety car restart was quite incredible. Yeah, just some crazy good driving. Very enjoyable. Yuki Tsunoda showed up in some form and was the first Red Bull Racing driver, second driver, to beat both V-carbs this season. Wow, I love to see that. Yeah, Mercedes was absolutely on fire that race. We're starting to see the beginning of more Kimi Antonelli there and George Russell with a defensive masterclass in this race. Yeah, Oscar Piastri is here, and he is ready, and he is competing for a championship this year, and he has proven it. My prediction is absolutely becoming correct, and I'm loving every second of it. Verstappen, Inspector Verstappen was snitching on Lando for out of position. That was quite a funny bit. Yeah, but let's get back to the fun bit of the conversation. How dominant was Piastri that weekend?
Quite dominant.
Yeah, it was quite a crazy amount that they were. God, I don't even know. Because I think, if I'm correct, I have a number here on my little fun device here. So this is average race pace between not only the 2 McLarens, but the rest of the grid. I'll start out with the grid first, just so it's in reference. So Alpine was about a second a lap off of the McLarens. Red Bull Racing was 9/10 off of the McLaren's pace on average. Ferrari was 5/10 or half a second off of the pace of the McLaren per lap. Mercedes was 48/100ths of a second off per lap. And McLaren was undoubtedly the fastest. Now, would you like to hear something very interesting, Mr. Karen? The interesting bit. Oscar Piastri was on average 4/10 of a second faster than Lando Norris on pure race pace that weekend. 4/10 of a second per lap over race pace in the same car. In the same strategy, too. They both went soft, medium, medium.
Wow.
Oh, that was, that was incredible. So they have come to show up, and oh, by God, have they. They decided they were just going to absolutely show out that weekend. Piastri was on fire. The race pace was absolutely insane. I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
We are entering the Lando Norris era, says Zach Brown. Oh, how wrong was he?
Yeah, the era of bottling. Oh, God, that was... Yeah, no, Piastri just showed up, absolutely dunked on him, and Verstappen was not a happy man that race either, I will say. Quite interesting enough, we had a bit of news breakout. No video, of course, but a bit of news breakout that Verstappen's manager got in a very heated argument with Helmut Marko in the garage before his manager stormed out. There is definitely quite a bit of issues going on in Red Bull right now, not only with their pit stops, because that is a really bad issue going on in that team right now, but there seems to be just quite a bit of discontent, which I have some more modern news, which I'll throw in here, but I'm going to throw in Debrief 4 that I really needed a mark in there, but I didn't. There's a quote that came out today on May 14th. Adrian Newey was doing a press conference with Aston Martin, and he said, and I quote, Red Bull is quite far behind when it comes to their development software, such as their wind tunnel. It's basically a small-scale wind tunnel stuck into an industrial facility. It is not good whatsoever. He didn't say exactly that. I'm paraphrasing roughly, but he said basically that the wind tunnel was garbage, and it's stuck in basically what is an industrial warehouse, which makes sense because there's a big report running back to the issues of Red Bull in their testing, and even Horner came out and said that a lot of their issues stem from their wind tunnel because it's not optimized. Apparently, the conditions outside of the facility directly impact the conditions on the inside of the testing facility and the wind tunnel. So, depending on the day, depending on the humidity, depending on the temperature, depending on if it's raining or not, the wind tunnel will give different results, which can lead them down a very wrong path. Because if you're doing very precise aero testing such as that and you get a different results, that's the difference between scrapping, thinking it's garbage, redesigning, or accepting a garbage part, which is not good in a competitive environment, which for Red Bull Racing alone is absolutely disheartening and is a main reason they are going to struggle if they don't fix that. Now it's coming from Adrian Newey.
And it's kind of crazy that they were, working all these wonders with these freaking championship years. Like if Adrian Newey can do that with the wind tunnel, imagine what he can do at Aston Martin. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly what he said too. Yeah, and Adrian also said in that same interview that the reason Red Bull was so successful is they had a great group of guys together. That's exactly what he said. The only reason they did well is because they had a group of fantastic people together. And those people started dispersing. McLaren took them. Audi took them. Everyone took them. And that left Newey and a bunch of newbies. And the newbies don't know what to do, especially if they're materials they have to use that they were trained to rely on rather than sense and experience. Sucks. You're not going to get great results. That's going to hamper your performance quite a bit.
Yeah. Like, Wheatley left, Newey left, who else? Horner's on the brink of getting fired, potentially.
That's another update, yeah.
Yeah. When you lose all
and then
these,
McLaren took... You continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. When you, lose all these experienced guys, results are definitely going to show that.
I don't even know what just happened. Your audio is so bad on my end. I don't know what happened. I don't know. But something just happened, and I don't know what did.
Well, I think Scooter barked at Poppy or some shit. I don't know. Anyways.
Oh.
We'll
Fair enough. I'll have to catch it in your audio, but yeah. It's also McLaren stole Red Bull's head of aero in 2022, and I don't remember his name, but they took him quite early on, and that's when we also started to see the downfall of them and the rise of McLaren. So I wonder if that man is behind some of the secrecy of their aero efficiency, because he went from churning out the RB19 to go into McLaren, and now they just have a piss missile of a car. So I'm wondering if that man leaving Red Bull also helped McLaren quite a bit. That makes too much sense.
It does make
Maybe I'm on
too
something.
much sense.
I know I'm not on something, but that makes too much sense. What if that man took some of the Red Bull secrets? What if he took some of that RB19 inspiration with him?
It wouldn't
Anyways,
surprise me, honestly.
Yeah, that's that man took some big secrets from the grave there, but yeah, that's Bahrain in a nutshell. It's really nothing crazy. It was kind of a boring race until we saw Russell hold off Lando for quite a bit. We saw Lando just, fall into form again. So typical stuff at that point, and then just Piastri masterclass. So great race. Yeah, on to the next topic. We will now be moving on to topic number 3, round 3 of IndyCar, Long Beach. Ah, such a great racetrack. God, such a great racetrack. I love Long Beach. I will never not love Long Beach. Fantastic circuit. Bring it to F1. I'm kidding, because they would charge out the ass for it. But anyways, yeah. It was quite an interesting race, in a way. Yeah, so quite a lot of toe linkages getting broken on that final exit wall for people trying to open up the steering wheel quite a bit too early. Pato O'Ward broke it, I think, in free practice. Herta broke it in qualifying, hitting the wall, but finished his lap, so that's cool. And then I think 2 or 3 other people broke their toe linkages on qualifying and practice session trying to find their limits of their cars. So, the wall is taking victims, so we need to name it something at this point. It's kind of like the Wall of Champions, except it's the wall of disregard your suspension. You don't need that. Just kidding. But they need to name that wall something, because that thing is destroying toe linkages faster than, I don't know, Gorlock the Destroyer eats a cheeseburger. So yeah, so another fun thing that we saw that weekend was we saw the beginning of driver cams getting added into the helmets. So kind of like an F1 but quite a bit of F1 inspiration getting added on into the lineup of camera angles that we see along a IndyCar weekend. It's quite an entertaining thing to see too, because we got to see a couple laps on board of some of the drivers. Couple laps of some of the drivers during qualifying, which are absolutely incredible. I think we got to see some with the likes of Joseph Newgarden. There's also an interesting one where we got to see an onboard with Pato O'Ward as he smacked the wall and broke his toe linkage, which was quite fun, actually, because you just got to see him countersteer and immediately just suffer suspension issues. Kieran's dying of lumbago. Disregard him. But it was quite interesting. We were seeing the Penske boys have some difficulties in qualifying yet again. Power and Newgarden were both eliminated in round 1, group 1 of qualifying, which is quite shocking. Typically, Penske is the team that is absolutely dominant when it comes to the sport. So seeing not only the 2-time champ Power, but also Newgarden get eliminated was quite interesting. Yeah, just shaking that up a little bit. The one unfortunate consistency that we do see is Mr. Alex Palou winning, which, yeah, hopefully we get to shake that. Subtle foreshadowing. Yeah, the curse bump caught Lundgaard. The curse bump on the back straight caught quite a few people out. Lundgaard ended qualifying, getting sent into the barrier because the curse bump caught him at the wrong time. Basically, yeah, the forbidden bump is just a nice patch on the back straight, which unfortunately is right around the same point you want to start braking to make the corner. So, yeah, the cursed bump will just send you into the shadow realm for no reason. Caught Herta out in practice, just absolutely flat spotted a set of tires. And then Christian Lundgaard got caught out by getting sent into the shadow realm, a.k.a. the tire barriers, and was out of qualifying. But dude had a monstrous race, and we'll get into that in a quick second. So, yeah, sound the alarms real quick, because we had a non-Alex Palou pole. Wow, we had Mr. Kirko, Kyle Kirkwood, taking pole over there. So, wow, that's incredible. It's not going to be just Palou winning all year. I say as I pray to God how it looks right now. Anyways, yeah, Joseph Newgarden had quite a few difficulties during his race, was basically entirely eliminated from race contention from a seatbelt issue. Went from sitting around the teens to a fat last place at the end of the race because his seatbelt was messed up and he had to pit and fix it. I think I know one time, but it maybe 2 times. Destroyed his race. Quite disappointing. We saw Mr. Christian Lundgaard showing his pace yet again and destroying the track. I mean, Christian Lundgaard is on a tear, honestly. I feel like he's doing it to intentionally make me eat my words at this point, in which if by some God's miracle Mr. Christian Lundgaard is listening, not only keep using that as inspiration to kick ass, but, like, and welcome to the podcast. So, but on a real note, like, he is proving me wrong on every odd. It's insane. Dude is insane. And speaking of insane, non-Polo winner alert. Kirko Chains Kirko Chains converts pole to a win down in Long Beach. So I had a stroke there. Disregard that. But yeah, Kyle Kirkwood converts pole to a win. Absolutely tearing up Long Beach. So fantastic to see an Andretti win and an Andretti pole, but it's also a non-Polo win. Sorry to you Polo fans, but I do not want IndyCar to be as non-contention as Formula One, so I'm willing to accept those issues. Yeah. So that is the end of Long Beach. That was quite crazy. What did you think about rewatching some of those highlights, Sir Kieran?
Lundgaard is fun to watch. That's pretty much all. Lundgaard is so much fun to watch in IndyCar.
Yeah.
But also,
it's nice to see him shovel over from... Sorry, you continue.
But also, it's unfortunate that there's only been 2 winners in IndyCar so far, and there's been 4 races, 4 or 5. I don't know.
I think that was round 3 at that point, and spoilers warning, by the way, we've finished race 5, and that still has not changed.
Bleep that out. Bleep that out.
Yes.
Just put spoilers.
Yeah. So that was. No, it's okay. I'm gonna leave the spoiler warning in to begin with. That's okay with me. It's no surprise. We're behind enough. I say we're. I'm behind enough already. They already know if they enjoy motorsports, so they know it. Fuck it. We'll do it live. We'll keep it in.
Pretty much.
But yeah, no, that was. But yeah, that was. It was a good race though. I always enjoy coming to Long Beach. It's always a great time when you're coming to Long Beach. So yeah, this one I don't have penciled into your section, so I'm going to do a very quick discussion on it. And you didn't get to watch the highlights, so I'm going to talk about this. The Indy Open Test Day was in between Long Beach and Grand Prix of Alabama, so. Yeah, open test day. There was really nothing besides 2 points that I wanted to talk about real quick. First one, there's a very popular conversation that I noticed happening online comparing drivers, and I found it kind of funny when it just exploded one of the other days. Basically, there's a large comparison going on right now between... It started out as Kyle Larson and Max Verstappen, with that one podcaster being an absolute dumbass and saying that within, like... What did he say? 5 days? He said Kyle Larson's going to be on pace with Verstappen. First off, I'm not going to bleep this. Shut the fuck up. You're a moron. I'm going to say that flat out, and I'm going to be completely honest with that. You are not going to have Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson is not going to go over to Formula One and match the pace of Verstappen anytime soon. You can see exactly what is happening with everything on that. I bet he couldn't even beat him in a GT car. That's my hot take. I think Verstappen absolutely destroys him in a GT car. And even in an even series, yes. Larson would beat him on a dirt track. He would. Larson's done a lot of dirt track time. He's done a little bit of GT car driving. He does a lot of NASCAR driving. Verstappen would beat him in GT cars. I don't care how much time Larson's put on the sim and how many N-bombs he's thrown around while sim racing. He's not beating Verstappen.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm spitting facts. I'm speaking facts. But,
no. Kyle Larson is not going to beat Franz Herman in a GT car. No, not even close. I mean,
yeah, no, not at all. But
bro freaking jumped in a Ferrari 296 around Nürburgring, I believe.
Track record, by the way.
Yeah.
And he said a track record.
Track record. Just dips out back to F1. Like it's nothing. And you expect to beat him?
Verstappen hobbies.
You're not going to
And
beat Verstappen.
to add spice to that conversation. The reason I brought that up in the first place, before getting on my tangent of you're a moron, is, Kyle Larson absolutely binned it in turn 3, coming out of turn 3, I think it was. Turn 4. I don't know. He was coming off the back straight, about to get onto the long front straight, but he carried just a smidge too much speed, carrying it into the corner and slammed into the wall hard as hell. Broke both front track rods. The car fishtailed and basically had a rear entry. No, it started to go rear entry and then overcorrected to the front, but he had hit the wall so hard. The entire steering system in the car failed. You could see both wheels turning different directions at the same time as he slammed into the wall. And then, that was a fun, I think, day one. Yes, that is positive and negative. So that was obliterated, but I think that was a day 2 incident. And then not long after that happened and the track went green again, Takuma Sato had a very unfortunate incident and is okay, thank God. Got back in the car today, actually, March 14th. Well, now it's May 15th. I meant May.
March?
I meant May. I caught myself, but got back in the car. Shut up. Got back in the car May 14th to nail it back on track again. He's okay, but the reason I say that is because Takuma Sato had a nasty crash day 1 or day 2 of testing, day 1 part 2 of testing. 94 G's into the wall.
What? Wait. No.
94 G's into the wall.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Gnarly crash.
Yeah. Takuma is okay. He got back in the car, ripped it like a tater chip, living it like a champ. And I saw a comment that just sums up Takuma as a person flawlessly. You either get a massive win from Takuma or you get a massive crash, and there's no in between. So I feel like that's pretty accurate. But I love Takuma. I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad he's back in the car, and I'm glad he's still getting those practice laps in to qualify for the Indy 500 here coming up next week. So, next week. We still have a week before that. Oh, buddy, I'm ready for a 500. I've been itching for a 500. So, ready for that. That is the end of the Indy test day session.
I was watching practice while I was getting barbecue for lunch. Got me kind of excited, not gonna lie.
As you should. American, yeah. Getting the barbecue, watching that 500 practice, yeah.
Oh yeah, I got that freaking open-faced brisket sandwich with gravy on it. Oh.
Gas. Absolute gas. Dude, wait, is barbecue a popular thing in Europe? Wait, hold on. If we have European viewers, is barbecue popular in the EU?
They would think it's too American.
Or is that like primarily American? Where's barbecue started out of? Isn't that like a New Orleans, Kansas City kind of thing?
Kansas City.
I thought... Hey, man, I associate a lot of that stuff with Southern culture, okay? I mean, Kansas City may have started it, yes, but that's also associated quite a bit with Southern culture, so, in my defense.
Kansas City is Midwest, motherfucker.
But, I know, but I swear I hear quite a bit about like Southern barbecue and stuff like that. You know, everything's bigger in Texas. You gotta get that Louisiana barbecue. You know, you gotta get that.
That is not
from
real barbecue.
Louisiana, that good stuff. It is fake. It is fake barbecue. It is not real. Do not let him tell you otherwise.
Take it from a Kansas City native.
Oh, God.
Not real barbecue.
Oh, God. We're going to start a war. It's not real barbecue unless it comes from Kansas City.
Fact.
Oh, God. Kieran's standing on business for that one. Damn it. Okay. Okay, we're going to wrap that up. We're going to go on to the next race here. We're going on to Jeddah. Oh, God. Welcome to round 5 of the Formula One Championship, Jeddah. One of my favorite circuits. It's a hot take. It looks like a melted plastic fork. I don't care. It's beautiful and fun. So I love it to death.
You know what it looks like?
There's quite a bit of interesting bits that happen. What? Say. Speak.
It looks like a sperm
What were we
cell.
saying?
That's what it looks like.
Ah, yes, the melted plastics fork sperm. Ah, yes, very.
Maybe cut
But
that out.
yeah, no. Welcome to Jeddah Corniche. That's kind of funny. I don't know, but yeah, no. Jeddah, incredible track. I absolutely love it. It definitely requires quite a bit of limits. I feel like it's reverse Monaco. It's Monaco Fast Edition, and I love it to death.
Yes.
Except there's a little bit more passing and better passing opportunities. It's just beautiful. It's a work of art, to my opinion. That's a hot take. Jeddah is beautiful. Yeah, so quite a bit of interesting bits that came along in Jeddah. I believe we had several car upgrades hit, including a new floor for the Red Bull. Yeah, that was quite an interesting bit, which I think actually there's still some controversy as they don't know what's really happening right now with that. We got several little technical topics to get around before I'll slightly touch on some interesting bits, but I guess this also fits into the vehicle upgrades area. So we had quite a bit of difference in vehicle setups coming into this weekend. We saw the McLaren had the most downforce on the weekend and drag. So it's very similar to Ferrari's design, but it had much less load, which was quite interesting. So not as much aero load, but yes. Sorry, I'm in my head right now. But McLaren had the most downforce, but not as much like drag load. I don't know. I'm not making sense of myself. I don't know how to explain it well. But yeah, Jeddah goes on to the low drag setup, but needs enough downforce to hit those corners just right. If you don't have enough, you're gonna be a bullet on the straights. But by God, pray for you in the corners. There's no other good way to explain on that. Yeah. Red Bull came in with a different lower plate design for the weekend. They didn't have the spoon design like McLaren and Ferrari did going into Japan, but they did have a different lower plate. It was quite interesting. There was a bit more dip down into it instead of a spoon, like a very violent drop down cup spoon design. It was more just a overall dip along the entire lower plane of the wing element, which was rather interesting. I feel like it worked pretty well for them, though, based on their results. So that's another thing we can discuss. And then the most loaded wing was actually Haas for this weekend. They had a violent angle going on for the most downforce they could possibly get out of it. And then we also had the Alpines and the Racing Bulls, which had really low drag, surprisingly, which some people quoted as near a Monza spec with how much downforce they were running. It was not much. They were trying to go for bullet straight speeds kind of tactic, which is definitely one way. You can have balance, you can go violent speeds, or you can just barely overload it so that you are violently floaty in the corners, which was quite an interesting bit. We move on to qualifying, which was quite a chaotic bit, honestly. We had Mr. Lando Norris bottling qualifying by eating on the back straight in Sector 3, I think it was. Yeah, absolutely destroyed his lap, but, you know, Piastri did a good lap before that was in, so that's kind of cool. A bit of quality analysis. We had Verstappen just absolutely dominate pole unexpectedly. We did not know. And Red Bull brought that aero package, and we think it helped out quite a bit. They had a decent load of aero efficiency. We think that underfloor helped them out quite a bit through some cornering speeds. McLaren and Mercedes downforce had like the most out of the entire field, but they could not compensate for their high drag. That's what hurt them on the straights, because if you look at the track dominance, I believe Verstappen had faster speeds but also better sectors on those longer straights. So went for a more balanced setup, but Verstappen also had a really good setup for aero balance. McLaren and Mercedes were just violently high drag. So, oops. And then Ferrari compromised a little bit on their aero balance, but was a bit slower. Verstappen was the quickest in Sector 1. Russell was the quickest in Sector 2 for the faster corners. And then Piastri was quickest in Sector 3, despite having that really high downforce profile, so they didn't have as much top speed. He still overcame that. Quite interesting, if you ask me. Mini sectors, Piastri was quickest over half the lap. Verstappen was quicker overall. Lost less where he was lost in those subsectors and gained more when he did gain. So he maximized his maximizations and minimized his losses. So, good stuff. Verstappen was running very low drag. It helped him a little bit in the race pace, but again, I'll touch on that in a second. It's really just going to be, it was a big tire wear kind of thing that was going to really depend on that. Another interesting thing as they were doing qualifying is there was a bit of controversy with the battery packs, which is another thing we can touch on in episode 4. Look out for that. That'll be a future development. So, quite interesting thing. There's a lot of clipping going on with the battery packs, actually. So, there was higher drag that contributed to less braking energy recovered, and the battery was draining and basically resulting in a lack of charging of the battery unit. So, anyone who is running a really high drag package, their battery was not as efficient. So we had like Aston and McLaren struggled the most. I have a little graph here in kilometers an hour, basically lost by overall battery units. And we had any Ferrari unit was more effective at gaining battery back during the qualifying lap in Jeddah. Meanwhile, we had a lot of the Mercedes power units struggling quite a bit, with a McLaren of Norris and the Aston of Alonso being the most time lost due to that battery pack issue, which is quite an interesting bit to look at. But the also interesting thing to see is the person who gained the most out of their battery pack efficiency was Mr. Nico Hülkenberg. So, very fun. But Nico was kind of lighting it up that weekend, which was rather quite interesting. The race was, spicy. I'll touch a few subtopics first before we get into that, because the first interesting bit is Yuki had an unfortunate crash in full practice. That was did a Verstappen, big oopsie. I think the rest of my things that I have are really race and post-race things. So let's get right into the fun stuff on this. So we had the turn 1 controversy with Max Verstappen. That was quite interesting. I think that this is where I start to get a bit controversial and think that the FIA need to step off from racing. I'm a Verstappen fan. I'm going to say that first. I also love Piastri. So it's quite a difficult battle when I see those two going head-to-head into turn 1, and we see Verstappen braking a tenth or two later than Piastri to attempt and go around the outside, and was almost exactly at his axle when it came to the time for the apex. He went wide, took turn 1, took the lead of the race, and then the FIA was like, it's not really correct. We don't know how to really do much here. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to make the fantastic decision to penalize you. But we're cutting the penalty in half. Isn't that great? Instead of stepping off. So I think the FIA needs to stop being a helicopter parent for a lot of the races. Should Verstappen have given the place back? I feel like yes. But he was also very close to where I feel like it was almost indeterminate, to my opinion, as to who was really chilling at that apex. I see the argument that Oscar had it, but also good old Christian horny man over there decided to bring all the printouts of Max axle to axle with Piastri going into that corner. So I don't know. He sounds he has quite a bit of evidence and took inspiration from Toto. He did have it printed out. So yeah, that was quite a interesting bit there. But there's also a bit more controversy, which I don't get this. I don't get this at all. Fake swearing bleeps. When Max was announced that he was given a penalty, that 5-second penalty for that turn 1 incident, you heard him swear. He said, bleep, lovely. You know, you think Max,
Bloody.
he's going to say, fucking lovely. He said bloody. Can you tell me how in the two Sam's hell bloody is going to be counted as a swear and they're going to bleep that? Did they think he was going to say something? They're just like, oh, press the button or something like that. I know George Russell says bloody like 5 times more than Max does, and they haven't done that.
Absolutely does.
I think the FIA needs to shove it up their ugly ass and man up and get out of their business, especially Ben. You need to lose your position. Sorry, buddy. You need to go. There's also a fun thing after the race where he was seen talking to Max, and Max was quite angry and then was very angry in the press conferences after, so a lot of people were thinking that he was saying something to Max at the post-race, but we'll touch on that a bit later. It's just quite interesting bit that happened. Lap 1 issues, we had the two bromances, well, the bromance of a lifetime, crashed each other out. Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly, they crashed each other out in turn 1. Yuki understeered through turn 3 or 4 and capped the rear axle of Gasly, took them both out of the race. Gasly was out immediately hitting the wall, and Yuki Tsunoda went on to retire in pit lane. So quite unfortunate issue. We also had Hamilton teasing Norris for a good portion of the race. Norris recovering from absolutely sending it into the wall for fun. Hamilton decided, I'm about to end this man's whole career, and decided to play the DRS train game at the last corner and play mind games with him and basically just allow Lando to get ahead of him, take DRS, and pass him. I think it was 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah, he
So
called for it
a quite common trend, which I have I have quite a bit to discuss about Lando's issue with pattern recognition come Miami. Anyways, yeah, penalty took Max out of contention because that 5-second penalty basically took anything away from him having a decent pit stop. Quite a big issue. Yeah, Piastri ended up winning the race, which is fantastic, and now he's the first Australian since Mark Webber to lead the championship. Incredible.
Yes.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Love it.
The man's manager was the last Australian to do it. So that's incredible. I'm very happy with that, and Piastri is definitely in some damn good form. Then a couple little fun facts. Stroll now has the most Q1 eliminations ever, even though he had a rocket ship for a couple years. So Stroll, you need to pack it up, buddy. I'm sorry. Yeah, Leclerc was balling out that race, had a pretty decent race. I believe he got back onto the podium, which was fantastic to see. I absolutely love it, especially since it seemed like he was dragging that wagon around. So glad to see Leclerc's at least back on the podium. There's a Ferrari podium. Wow, that's incredible. I thought that's what was going to happen with Hamilton magically going to the team. Oh no. Anyways, yeah, Verstappen now also holds the second most points in F1 history. Verstappen set a new track record around Jeddah, of course. Piastri now holds 100% pole conversion rate, going 2 for 2 as it stands in Jeddah. So, very cool fact. He's doing great. Another fun fact, well, not fun fact, but I'm going to touch on that a little bit of a controversial topic. I'll do some race pace analysis, and we'll go on to our second to last topic of the day. But track records are getting obliterated all the time. Are we on pace to see one of the fastest seasons in F1 history in terms of track times? What do you think?
I feel like we could be. Yeah. I mean, ground effect cars, they've always been incredibly fast.
even going all the way back to the Chaparral 2J. Thing was mega quick. I feel like we could be in for the fastest F1 season ever, like you said. Even faster than the 2020 season with the W11, I think it was. Or was it the W10?
It was, I believe it was 2020, because 2020 was the last year of the crazy regs, and that's when the W11 ran rampant, and that was before they delayed the what is now the 22 regs. They delayed the 22 regs, and in favor, because of good old COVID, they decided to make the 22 regs cut back a year. They extended the regs a bit more, and then said, how about you trim up those floors and go have fun? So, yeah, and then Red Bull won the championship because of that, because Mercedes was going ham on that floor development. So, yeah, I think we're very much on pace to seeing something rapid. I think it's going to be fun to watch for the rest of the season. I wonder what other track records we're going to see get smashed. I'm very eager to see that.
I bet you fucking Spa will be a big one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm surprised Bahrain hasn't gotten smashed yet.
Yeah. I feel like all the high-speed tracks will be, like, for sure broken. Like Spa, Monza.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Also, sorry I keep interrupting you. This audio delay is really getting in my head. That's a side point, but yeah, but I'm surprised Bahrain hasn't been broken yet, because it's still held by isn't it still held by Pedro de la Rosa in the McLaren from like 2002 or something?
I think so.
Or it's still an early record. It's still held for a long time.
It's from the V10.
I think it's. Sure. I know it's still held by De La Rosa. I just don't know what year. Yes, it absolutely is. I'm surprised Bahrain hasn't been broken yet. I honestly don't know how far away that margin is, though. So while you're looking at that, I'm going to get into the tech nerd specs here. So looking at race pace over the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, we saw Verstappen was narrowly quicker on race pace than Piastri by 0.04 of a second a lap. Leclerc was just 23 hundredths of a second slower than the pole sitter and marginally quicker than Norris. So basically, Leclerc was sitting third fastest on track behind Piastri and Verstappen. Piastri was only 400ths of a second off of Verstappen. Leclerc was 23 hundredths of a second off Verstappen. Norris was 24 hundredths of a second off Verstappen, and then we just saw half a second and faster going back from the Mercedes and on to the rest of the field. They were struggling quite a bit.
Yeah. Side topic. The race lap record of 131.447 is held by Spaniard Pedro de la Rosa, driving the McLaren MP420 from 2005.
That's beautiful. I love the MP420. Such a beautiful car. Man. Oh, that's incredible. So, another fun bit that's a bit more interesting, too. Apparently, Oscar Piastri was going quicker and faster through corners on lap 49 than he was on 23, even though he had fresher tires around there. It was basically someone gave a really big engineering insight or a big physics insight into it, basically explaining about maximum lateral acceleration and how tire grip coefficient, speed, and car mass all changed to add up everything, basically showing that his slower corners, his pace didn't improve much in slower corners, but in faster corners, the effective downforce became even greater with the lighter the car became. So Piastri was just starting to go faster on older tires that were about 20 laps old. Quite a interesting tidbit from that race. And that will go ahead and end our Jeddah conversation. And now we will go ahead and move on to the chaotic Miami Grand Prix. Yeah, that was quite an event. The pink racing bowls was beautiful, honestly. The Barbie car was incredible. Yeah. We had a very angry Doohan in Quali 1 when he got eliminated because they sent him out weirdly and he got stuck in pit lane and I don't think had time for a lap or a prep time. And yeah, he was quite angry on the radio and then, immediately got sent to the Shadow Realm after. So, I don't blame him one bit. I feel bad for the man because I think, didn't they send out him and his teammate side by side?
I think so, yeah.
I'm not too sure. Regardless, it's rather unfortunate. Yeah, so we had Kimi Antonelli deciding to show up for that weekend. There's also the Lego race. That was quite a thing. I thought it was funny. Hamilton's laugh as the Mercedes crashed was like more than enough to just bring a smile to your day. Hamilton was having the time of his life in those Lego races, and I think that, hot take, they need to make those every race. Every race. Yes. Every race, Lego car race. Bring it. Everyone loved it.
The way that Hamilton and Leclerc were just like, go, 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 go. It was so fucking funny. I loved it.
They're doing the sled team trying to get it to go. It was so fun. It was absolutely incredible. And
pure gas
everyone was just like having the time of their life.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I thought it was funny. I think it was Gasly sitting behind everyone. So he was watching the Ferrari, the Mercedes, the Alpine, and the McLaren just destroying each other. And he's just there laughing. And then I think he ended up getting pinned against the wall by the Mercedes, causing Hamilton to just wheeze dramatically, which is quite funny, honestly. Yeah, he was having the time of his life. God, that was... Oh, beautiful. So, yeah, is that the first sprint? I think that's the first, no, never mind, that's not the first sprint race. So, we had another sprint race, yeah, big sprint race, very cool. We had Kimi Antonelli, snatch sprint pole. That was wild. That was insane. Kimi Antonelli's here, and my prediction's correct. That Kimi is probably going to win Rookie Driver of the Year, and that man is very well going to contend for the first win by any rookie or first new win of the season. So, hopefully at least. But, yeah, Kimi is here, and he's big balling out. We had, on the formation lap for the sprint race, Charles Leclerc binned it into the wall very hard on the back straight. I don't know what turn it was, but it was the long back straight before the basically, I don't know what to call it, the big like U section in the track. And hydroplane directly into the wall, massive crash, destroyed the car, couldn't take part sprint qualifying, quite unfortunate. Not even his fault. He wasn't even pushing, and just, I want to go left. How about you go straight? That's not allowed. What's turning? What is turning around these parts? So, yeah, that was quite interesting. We had the fight in turn 1 between Piastri and Antonelli. Antonelli went off, and there was no penalty on Piastri, which was quite interesting because I think that's what happened in Jeddah. But, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. So, eat it, dirtbag. But that was... at least an interesting conversation on turn 1. So Antonelli is quite upset, understandably. And then Kimi and Max collided in the pit lane because Red Bull Racing cannot get pit stops right or cannot do anything right at this point, it seems, unfortunately. So that was very unfortunate. I was very glad to see that Kimi was so gracious in the interviews, understanding the issue, yet again showing just how full of class Kimi is. And Max also very well understood that was his team's issue and did not really want to comment on that much, understandably. So, and then yet again, me back being the Class 1 hater that I am, the safety car gifted win moment yet again for Mr. Lawnmower Lando Norris. Just undeserved in every way. But that's how Formula One is. Should have gone to his teammate, but luck, Mr. Luck Norris. But yeah, so that was cool. Liam Lawson punted Alonso to bring out the safety car to finish the sprint race under safety car in the first place, giving Lando that win. So that was quite unfortunate. And then Albano, Lawson, and Behrman all got 5-second penalties for, I think it was speeding in pit lane and a couple other things. I don't remember. There was just a bunch of penalties slammed out. Quite an interesting end to the sprint race. Then it goes on to the actual qualifying session for the main race. Hamilton out in Q2. Big shocker, big stunner. Verstappen pole. Wow. That's crazy, driving that tractor. The whole reason that he got that pole is because Lando decided he wanted to taste what it's like to eat a sausage curb at the final corner. And being the jackass he is, destroyed his own lap time that he would have had pole, but he didn't. Because this dude does not understand how to drive a race car. Nope. Don't hate me because I'm speaking facts. Dude doesn't know. You don't know wheel. So, yeah. That was... the rest of the race was quite interesting, from Carlos Sainz deciding he wanted to play F1 25 on the last lap of the race and dive bombing Hamilton harder than I would have. And rubbing all the way through that final corner to end the race was quite interesting. Behrman had a very nasty engine failure. Very, very satisfying to listen to on my end, but disheartening too. I don't know why I find those engines failing sound so interesting. Same with Nico Hulkenberg in Bahrain in 2018, I think it was, but I don't know why those nasty engine failures just sound so interesting to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact of how high revving they are when they fail. They just sound like a CBR engine, like a Honda CBR engine failing. But still, regardless, very cool to listen to. Not for him, but yeah. This is where I start to get a little bit controversial here. So we're going to have some fun with this. First thing is, Ferrari destroyed Hamilton's race. Very bad team calls. Yep. Held Hamilton behind Leclerc for like 10 laps or so before, maybe it is a good idea to put the driver on a faster compound and newer compound out in front of our driver with older compound. Maybe that would help his race a little bit. By the time they did, he had cooked the living hell out of his tires because he'd been sitting behind Leclerc slow for so long by that point. Ferrari is a catastrophe, and Hamilton very clearly expressed his displeasure with that too, saying, what was it? Why don't we have a tea break in the meantime?
Have a tea break while you're at it. Something like that.
Ferrari is going to Ferrari, and it's very disheartening.
Poor Hamilton.
The Ferrari effects. And now I get more controversial. Max is beyond stuck in Lando's head. Bro is living rent-free in Lando's head at this point. I feel like there's not one interview that Lando can do where he does not mention Max. And this is specifically going to dig at his post-race comments and comments during the race. Lando, in particular, is just crying like a little bitch. He's flipping him off during the race because he doesn't know how to race against Verstappen, even though he's done it for quite some years now. And then went ahead and in the drive to the podium ceremony said, it's either crash or don't pass, which I thought was hilarious because you got to see Piastri just look at Lando like, brother, what are you talking about? And then just kind of laugh and chuckle and look away. You could tell he's just like, you are dumb as hell. And then, of course, Lando decided to keep going in the press conference after the race. He's ruining his own race, not racing very smart. Probably could have finished third today if he didn't destroy his own race. Lando, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You need to learn how to race yourself before you're able to say some shit like that. Because this is what I'm going to say, and this is why I'm saying this. Piastri has been in F1 2 or 3 times less as long as Lando has. He's raced against Verstappen much less than Lando has. And Oscar knows how to race against Verstappen. My prime example of that, and why this is a whole point to my argument, is we saw the battle against Piastri and Verstappen ended pretty quickly because Verstappen did his normal thing where he's going to try and run that driver wide. He's going to make himself as wide as possible, obey track limits just enough to where he's able to push them off legally. Now that the camera's back, I don't know how long that's been off for, but welcome back. Continuing on with my point. Verstappen has a tendency to be very aggressive on defense. He's going to try and run someone wide, but just enough to where they're within track limits and they can't go to the FI and say, oh, he pushed me off. Yeah, Piastri knows that and outplayed him. He completely undercut Verstappen at turn 1. Verstappen was going to run him wide. Piastri's just like, how about no? Switched back inside, destroyed him on the move as Verstappen went wide. Easy. Done. In a corner. Because he knows what Verstappen's going to do. He knows how to outplay him. He knows how to commit that overtake. Because he already knows what move Verstappen's going to pull. Because that's like the Verstappen Certified Hood Classic. Lando, however, cannot comprehend stuff like that while he's driving said race car. I don't know. Maybe he's thinking about his next Twitch stream or something. But Lando thinks it's fantastic to around the outside every move. It's like he's me in F125. He thinks going around the outside is going to win every single time. Newsflash, no. That's what Verstappen wants. And he got ran out of road. He got pushed wide. He had to take evasive action because that's the Verstappen way. He's been in F1 for so long. He's been against Verstappen for so long. They've raced together for so long, and he doesn't know this. He gets pushed off. He flips off Verstappen and makes all those comments, crying like a little bitch because he can't race Verstappen. Meanwhile, his teammate passes him in one try, disappears into the distance, and just destroys him.
Pattern recognition.
Verstappen is stuck in Lando's head. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He can't recognize a pattern of Verstappen's defense. It's very obvious, and you don't know how to counter. If you don't know how to recognize a pattern and beat said pattern, you're going to fall to it every single time. And this man is out there sniffing the daisies right now, while Max is probably still in his head like, man, Verstappen's going to push me wide at this next turn, isn't he? Like, get a grip, please. Just disappointing. Very disappointing. I don't know. What do you think about this whole Lando not understanding how to wheel?
What?
Fair enough. Hell yeah. Okay. Good argument.
I didn't hear what you
Very,
said.
very solid point. I approve of that.
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said, like, do you have anything to say about that? Sorry. Do you have anything to say about that? What do you think about that whole situation with Lando?
Yeah, no. If you're going to race Verstappen, know how to race him. Like, learn. Like, you can't just try and go around the outside every time and expect it to work. Like, that's not going to work. Very rarely does it work, actually. So,
yeah.
I don't know what his problem is about pattern recognition. Because, as you said, it happened in Miami. It happened in, what race was it?
Austria.
Austria, yes.
It's happened in Austria. It's happened in Australia. It's happened, I think, in Bahrain also. It happened in Japan. It happened in... Yeah, no. There's a lot more. Damn, you could name every race after Miami last year.
Pretty much.
Same thing.
Yeah. At some point, you've got to start, like, recognizing a pattern.
See, and my thing is, I think Mr. Daddy's Cash 2.0 over there has been handed a pretty damn good engineered race car, very fine-tuned race car, and is just, oh, I have this car now. Life is so easy. I'm just going to be handed these positions without fighting one bit.
He should be winning every race.
If you have the best race car, you should be winning every time. Shut up. Learn from yourself.
Now,
Window licker.
Now, in his defense, the car has been winning, just not him.
Well, yeah, that's because he's skillless.
Yep.
When you're put up against the caliber of Oscar Piastri, you're going to get throttled.
Yeah.
That's just my thing. Oscar is a very good driver. And if you look at it, that's just the facts. That's why I said that. Lando Norris was a pay driver going into McLaren. He was a pay driver.
Pretty much.
His father is like, what, a multi-billionaire? Or something like at least multi-millionaire or like 100 millionaire or something like that. His pockets run deep, which is why he's able to get into where he is. Does he have good performances? Yes. Are they the caliber that is required to win a world championship? Absolutely not.
No. He's had flashes, but no.
There's still quite a bit of maturing that needs to happen before he's capable of doing that. And he's got to figure that out.
Yep.
All right. On to the next fun topic. We will go on to, well, we have two more Indy topics to talk about, which I can kind of breeze through really quickly because they're fun. So, yeah, first one was round 4 of the Indy Championship at Barber Motor Speedway in Alabama. So we had Alexander Rossi was returning back to form just a little bit after a bit of a time away, moving to a new team. I think it was, oh God, I don't remember what team he went to. I think it's RHL Racing, if I'm correct. I don't remember. It's been a bit. I don't remember what team he's at now. But Alexander Rossi's back to form a little bit, was fighting up there with some of the top dogs and definitely scrapping with Pato a little bit, his former teammate. So that was pretty cool to have. Herta had yet another pit stop issue in pit lane, a bit more towards his fault this time, stalling, but regardless, it's still very painful as he lost his 4 positions because of that, because they needed the time to restart. Are you opening a second one? Anyways, the race was, I'm not going to lie, the race is kind of ass. A 16-second win from guess who? I'm not even going to say the name because you already know. Will Power made it out of round 1, group 1 for the first time this season, which is great to see him start to find his feet a little bit. Award had a light shunt in practice 2, but still made it out for qualifying and still made it into the race, which was great to see. Marcus Ericsson caught himself in a gravel trap, started to rain on track, and lost it, went off track, touched the gravel, caught a little bit of lip of grass on the curb, and almost flipped the car. Luckily, he didn't, and he's okay, but the impact of the car landing back on the ground entirely snapped the rear suspension, so that car was needing some repairs before qualifying. And then Christian Lundgaard is now 4 for 4 in top 5 finishes. This kid is really showing some serious pace here. I mean, he also had a really nasty move on, I think it was Scotty Mack or Power or Newgarden. I think it was Newgarden, but he had a really nasty move around the outside and then took the inside line going into the next corner. Lundgaard has really shown up to be absolutely fantastic in this sport, and I'm loving to see it. I think he's sitting 3rd in the championship, but alas, we'll cover that here in a few minutes. Move on to our final topic of today, Indy Motor Speedway, round 5, and that is going to be the Indy Road Course, where they run it in reverse of the Indy 500, so quite a fun little bit. I love the road course, miss it in Formula 1, but it's still a very fun track to watch and very good competition to enjoy. So, yet again, dominant driver taking first. Guess who? Mr. Alex Palou. I don't even need to say his name anymore. We already know. It's become Formula 1. It's predictable. They implemented a new rule. I believe it was only for this race. they had a new tire rule of they were required to run 2 soft tires and 2 hard tire compounds during the race. So a required 4 different tire compounds, and each tire required 2 laps of racing on them. So very cool stuff. Brought us some very cool strategies. We had Scott Dixon struggling to qualify, and he's kind of been struggling to open qualifications all of this year, unfortunately. Kind of like Will Power. He hasn't caught his mojo yet, which is quite disheartening to see, but his race pace is certainly making up for it. I mean, the man is slicing through the field when it comes to it, so great to see. I know my dad's enjoying that quite a bit, being a huge Scott Dixon fan. Yeah, Alex Palou is just an absolute monster. He needs to be stopped, and he almost got stopped by the absolute god, Graham Rahal. Dude, nasty move around the outside into turn 1 and was leading that race for quite a long time. I believe until just before the caution came out, which was the first caution, by the way, since race 1, lap 1. So it'd been like 400 some laps of racing before they had ever seen a caution, which for my European or non-IndyCar viewers, by the way, a caution in that sport is basically the equivalent of a virtual safety car or a safety car, except there's no in between. If there's an incident on track that needs to be cleared, they're going to bring out a caution, which slows the entire course down. Pace car comes out. It's basically a forced instant safety car, and that comes out for almost damn near anything, and it's been like 400 some laps since that came out. It's round 5. The last time was round 1, lap 1. Wild stuff.
Yeah, that's quite
Before
impressive.
that, we had Kiffin Simpson with some issues. Oh yeah, no, it's insane that you were able to go that long without it. I think there was also a drought of safety car last year, I think it was. So, or maybe it was this year, I'm not sure. I think it was last year, but there's like a big drought of the safety car coming out in F1 also, which is slightly disappointing. So who knows? Maybe people are actually staying on good business, or they're just smartly not having reliability issues during the race. But speaking of reliability, we had Kiffin Simpson, did not start, had powertrain issues in the pit lane before he was even able to get out and go on his formation run. So quite unfortunate, because Kiffin has had such a great season so far and has also spent, well, at least per what the announcers say, and I'll believe it based off the amount of times they say it, Kiffin Simpson has had such a great offseason because he's put so much time in the weight room, strengthening his neck and getting ready for more physical enduring and crazy physical experiences on the body from racing. So they say that so much, which I believe it. I mean, I've seen the videos. The dude's a monster in the gym, but like, it's also unfortunate because Kiffin's taken a pretty good jump this year in Indy. So quite unfortunate he wasn't able to get out of the pit lane. Some powertrain issues haunted him. And then I'll just read this comment for exactly what it is, because I'm going to be real. I feel this in my soul. And I quote, "Heard of bad luck yet again. I'm at my limit."
Real.
Nothing more needs to be said there.
Type shit.
Yeah. Ericsson's engine was absolutely just destroyed. Sounded like a CBR 600 engine failing, which I know all too well. Yeah, that was nasty. Dude just lost. Yeah, dude lost some serious power, had serious powertrain issues. Managed to get it back in the pit lane, but dude lost a lot of power coming out of the corner and got bumped by Newgarden because of that. So, oops. And yeah, that was basically the big summary of that race. There's also the fun thing, which I didn't have on here, of Pato O'Ward stealthily taking second place from Scotty Mack. You want to know how it happened, too? It was an accident. Scotty Mack was coming into the pit lane and was getting a bit squirrely, went into the grass, and per what Scotty Mack posted of, in quotations, how I lost P2, it was literally him getting squirrely in the grass, went off on the pit lane entry, and you just see Pato O'Ward by the side of him taking P2. Basically just got him in pit lane entry, took P2, and ran it all the way until the end. So Scotty still got third, but lost P2 to O'Ward by getting out of shape on pit entry. So quite unfortunate, but yeah. And that wraps up our very lengthy race debrief 2. So on with that, we'll be going on to our very last section where we will be discussing the championship standings. So now we will be talking about both of the current standings. So we'll first start out with the drivers' standings of Formula One. So, as it stands, we have Oscar Piastri in first, 131 points, to Lando Norris in second, 115 points. Verstappen still holding on pretty tight to number 3 with 99 points. George Russell in fourth, 93 points. And then a pretty good gap back, 40 points, to Charles Leclerc in fifth. Then we have Kimi Antonelli followed up behind, 48 points. Lewis Hamilton 7th, 41 points. Alexander Albon in 8th with 30 points. Esteban Ocon in 9th with 14 points, tied with Lance Stroll in 10th with 14 points. The leaderboard just keeps going down a bit more. Yuki Tsunoda to Pierre Gasly to Sainz to Hulkenberg to Behrman to Hadjar to Alonso to Lawson to Doohan to Bortoleto, with Fernando Alonso, Lawson, and Doohan and Bortoleto all being the last 4 people who have yet to get any points in the sport.
Fernando Alonso.
Man, Fernando has had some bad luck. He has had such bad luck. And even then, when he has had good luck, the car is so garbage.
Yeah.
It's beyond disappointing. And even when he is set up to get points, he gets bumped by the Soncom bumper, whether it's reliability or another person, and gets sent to the Shadow Realm. So disappointing.
Damn.
Quite interesting, though, to have Esteban Ocon in 9th and then Stroll in 10th. But, yeah. I have a feeling, or at least I'm hoping, that Alonso can pick up those standings and at least claw back to Stroll. Because if he gets beat by Stroll, then...
Yeah.
Yike. You'll get one official yike. So, yeah. That's as that stands. On to the teams. We have McLaren holding strong with 246. Mercedes in second with 141. Red Bull in third with 105, or should I say Verstappen Racing plus a little bit of assistance from Yuki Tsunoda. Ferrari in fourth, 94. Williams in fifth with 37. Ferrari in sixth with 20. Did I say Ferrari or did I say Haas?
You said Ferrari.
In sixth. Okay, yeah, I'm incorrect. It's Haas Ferrari, because that's a powertrain. Haas in sixth, 20 points. Aston Martin in seventh with 14, all from Lance Stroll. And then Racing Bulls in eighth with 8 points. Convenient. Alpine in ninth with 7 points. And Kick Sauber in 10th with 6 points. Wow! Alpine's not in last.
Holy shit.
Someone pop a bottle of champagne. That's disappointing for my standings, and that's quite shocking with the amount of controversy that's coming out of them right now. But yeah. So that's the chaos that's going on. What do you think about the standings so far?
Well, there you go, my Aston Martin predictions. For one.
Just wait for 26. Just gotta wait for 26.
And my Ferrari predictions.
Yeah.
Not super surprised about McLaren and Verstappen racing. Although I did say McLaren.
Mercedes came out of the blue.
I did say McLaren.
I think we both agreed that Ferrari was going to be in contention.
Yeah.
Yeah, the highlight said certainly agreed with that.
Yeah, Ferrari's been such a disappointment this season.
Ferrari has... sorry, folks. So has some issues to fix, which they have some suspension upgrades that'll be coming to Imola. Apparently, they've had a couple in development for quite a bit now. So they'll have some high hopes that that'll be able to fix any issues that they have been having. So I don't know. It'll be eager to see. We have Imola happening this weekend, as it is now the 15th. So we have Imola kicking off this weekend. Excited to see that. And the Indy 500 coming on next weekend. Speaking of Indy, we have the Indy standings to cover too. For the driver standings going on right now, we have, Mr. Undeniable in first place right now, Alex Palou, with 4 out of the 5 wins on the season, sitting at a massive 248 points. Then we have Mr. Kyle Kirkwood in second, Mr. Kirko. Still about 100 points adrift, standing at 151 points in the standings. Sorry. 1 win. The only person who isn't Palou to win and have pole. Then we have a little bit of fun here. We have Christian Lundgaard in third with 150 points, 1 point shy of Kyle Kirkwood. Then we have Mr. Pato O'Ward in fourth with 148 points, 2 points shy of his teammate, holding nice and strong in fourth. Scotty Mack for Penske sitting in fifth right now, 137 points. Scott Dixon, sixth, 134 points. Will Power, seventh, 128 points. Felix Rosenquist in eighth with 125 points. Colton Herta in ninth with 104 points. And Renus VK in 10th with 100 points flat. Then, of course, Rossi to Newgarden to Rahal to Armstrong to Ferrucci to Ericsson to Rasmussen to Siegel to Malukas to Simpson to Daly to Stingray Robb to Foster to Schwartzman to DeFrancesco to Ilott to Abel to Andretti to Ed Carpenter to Helio Castroneves, and a lot of those other guys are, at least from Marco Andretti down from basically 28th to 35th in the standings, are all pointless because they are qualifying for the Indy 500. So, yeah, just Andretti, Marco Andretti, Ed Carpenter, Helio Castroneves, Jack Harvey, Ryan Hunter-Ray, Tony Kanaan, Kyle Larson, and Takuma Sato are all sitting at the very bottom of the standings right now, as they will be either qualifying or they were last year's people who did qualify for the Indy 500. So I think those were the people who did qualify for the Indy 500 last year. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that all shapes up, and the standings are looking quite interesting. And for our non-Indy enthusiast viewers, very good reminder. The Indy 500 serves as a race of double points for whatever result you get at the 500. So if you get first, the points are doubled from 50 to 100. So if you're sitting pretty close to the top in the standings, winning the 500 not only cements your name in history, but brings you that much closer to sitting at the top of the standings. Typically, it's normal if you win the 500, you almost go to the top of the standings, unless you're just a normie sitting way far down. At the same time, this year, Palou has such a chokehold that it's almost impossible for you to take the standings just off the 500 alone right now, which is crazy, but yeah. I digress. Yeah, this is a race where you want the most reliability in, so quite important that you don't crash out here, but the limits on this race are so fine. It's quite difficult sometimes to stay in contention with the chaos that happens. It's an oval race, but damn is it an interesting oval race.
Oh, yeah. Better than any other oval race, for sure. Hot take.
I'll agree with that. I mean, I'll have my bias and say that Kansas and Iowa are some damn good oval tracks. Oh, or Texas Speedway. I can't forget Texas. Texas has a really nice oval track, but, you know, Indy is iconic for a reason. The Brickyard is iconic for a reason. It's also iconic because every year the social media team takes every opportunity to announce that you can fit like 3 or 4 and like football stadiums inside of the Indy road course. So I've yet to see it, so we haven't been cursed with that, but you can fit like 3 or 4 full-size football fields in the infield of the Indy Motor Speedway.
American football fields.
Yes, football fields per Browning high power. So I love that measurement, but man, yeah. So spicy championship standings, even spicier drama going on around the motorsports right now. And yet again, I'm going to re-emphasize as we end off this episode strong, and hopefully my camera doesn't turn off. But yet again, sorry for the delay. I'm out of school now. I can edit. So be prepared for a inrush of episodes and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, and with that, that is the end of Race Debrief 2, a pretty chunky one. Hopefully expect another one coming up here real soon. I'm really aiming to hopefully have this episode out after Imola and before the Indy 500.
Nope.
Because I would really like to have a dedicated episode where we cover Imola in depth and I'm able to go a lot more into detail and have a better conversation about this issue. About this topic and this race. I want to be able to go into a lot more detail, but having a 7 topics is a bit difficult on timing.
Yeah.
So, and I really don't want to drag your guys' time out for so long. So, yeah, but I also want to have a dedicated episode for the crown jewels of racing, being Monaco and the Indy 500 on the same weekend. And then who knows, maybe I'll be ballsy enough to cover the Coca-Cola 600. Probably not. I don't like watching NASCAR anymore. Stage has ruined it. And that's a fact.
Absolutely.
That's not opinion. That is just a fact of life. That is a fact of life.
See,
So, and my
NASCAR
father is one to attest to that.
NASCAR would be better if they would just run the entire race as one whole freaking stage. Fuck out of here with that stupid.
This
stage.
isn't rallycross. This isn't rallycross. Take that dumb shit out of here.
Type shit.
Just a hot take. So, yeah, and with that spicy hot take to end everything off, just friendly reminder that these videos will become infinitely better here real soon, as I will be moving into my new apartment here near Mr. Kieran here real soon, and we will see in-person podcast episode coming to you live from my new college here real soon. And with that, thank you guys all so very much for joining us on yet another chaotic episode of two morons spitting opinions and talking motorsports in a beginning to become more technical analysis. And we have Mr. Pit Viper over here, Mr. Kieran, the mechanic, the man, the myth, the legend, the icon of motorsport, the icon of Gran Turismo, Mr. Crean, Driver Crean, the Miata Supra lover, and the BMW UV axle, whatever the hell it is, destroyer of all. I don't know. CVX. You send those things to Narnia. I don't know. Mr. Destroy all the cars and then just balls out off-roading, storm chasing in a GMC Sierra over here. So, you know,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Big Balls. The storm chaser of a lifetime.
Freaking. Also, Kansas City barbecue is best. Don't at me. Just fact. Texas
And that's how we're
barbecue,
going to end
not
everything
real.
off. I love the mic throw too. And thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been fantastic to host you guys yet again. We hope to see you in pit lane in the next episode. Thank you guys. We'll see you again soon, where we hopefully only discuss 2 or 3 races. So,
And barbecue.
thank you guys. Let's go have some fun. Yes, let's go have some barbecue. Barbecue night. Everyone go to Jack Stack.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Jack Stack party. Oh, Kansas City barbecue. Damn it, you made me want barbecue now. Damn you. Damn you to hell.